Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff, episode 606. This is the live stream. Hello, hello, test, test, test.
You are listening to MediaLex Radio, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome everybody to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening to us on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, or you could stream the show live from the station website at MediaLex.us. I am broadcasting from the WLXU studios here at MediaLex on North Limestone. It is December the 11th, 2025. Folks, we are officially in the Christmas season. And before we get started, I just want to do a few little housekeeping items. This will pretty much be our Christmas special because next week on the show, I will be doing the Year in Review show where I talk about the biggest headlines of the year 2025. And then for Christmas, which actually falls on a Thursday this year, we're going to be taking a little break. Off the Cuff will be having a replay that week, but we will return for our New Year's special on January the 1st. It will also fall on a Thursday, and Off the Cuff will be live in studio doing a New Year's Day special. But folks, this is officially our Christmas episode. So Merry Christmas out there to every single person. Christmas is fastly approaching. So much to get to. So much has been happening. And folks, I started the show off last week talking about the new football coach that the University of Kentucky has hired, and that is Will Stein. And I came on the air and just gave the basics. He signed a 5-year deal with Kentucky, but didn't have any details of his contract. Well, that has changed because since I have last been on the air, I have been able to comb through his contract and highlight the big details of the new man in charge in Kentucky. First of all, what a breath of fresh air it is to have a new Kentucky football coach. 13 years too long with Mark Stoops, and now we have a new guy. He will be paid $5.5 million in his first season on the job. Stein agreed to a 5-year contract with UK that will run through the 2030 season. His annual salary will increase by $100,000 each year. As part of the deal, Will Stein will receive an automatic 1-year extension. I know when anytime you hear that 1-year extension, people, they freeze, they freak out because Mitch Barnhart is behind this. But here's a part of Will Stein's contract. He will receive an automatic 1-year extension anytime Kentucky reaches the college football playoff. But his contract would max out with 5 remaining years in any season. So he's not going to be able to lock in a contract like Mark Stoops has. As a matter of fact, Mark Stoops is the poster boy for what not to do for your contract signings. So Will Stein will not get that lucrative of a contract like Mark Stoops did, and it's not going to tie him down to the program to a point to where we won't be able to get rid of him if we need to. Now, if he makes a college football playoff, he deserves an extension. Heck, if you can make a playoff at Kentucky at any time, you deserve the lifetime contract. You know, could you imagine what they would have given Stoops had he have gotten Kentucky to the playoffs? But he only gets an extension. Will Stein will only get one if he makes the college playoffs. He could receive up to $2.15 million in bonuses each year, with incentives ranging from $50,000 for a team GPA of at least a 3.0 each semester to $500,000 for winning a national championship. That would be a nice little bonus. I mean, that would pay off my house, my car, and then some. Will Stein would also receive $100,000 for winning 7 games. That's a lot better than a year or 2 extension. He would receive an additional $200,000 for wins 8 through 11 in a season. Winning the SEC Coach of the Year would net him a $50,000 bonus. Winning National Coach of the Year would earn him a $100,000 bonus. Will Stein would also earn $100,000 for reaching the SEC Championship and $150,000 for winning it. He could earn up to $500,000 for reaching the playoff, depending on the furthest round Kentucky reaches. It says here also that through February the 1st, 2026, Will Stein is allowed the use of a private jet for travel between Kentucky and Oregon, while he splits his duties between his role at UK and his role at Oregon as he finishes out his season as the offensive coordinator for the playoffs. He will also receive personal use of 1 luxury suite for football games, 2 late model luxury automobiles, reasonable tickets, it says, to other UK sporting events, and membership in 1 mutually agreed upon private club or golf club. He could earn up to an additional $250,000 per win, starting with number 9 each season. And then finally, the contract included bonuses for reaching non-playoff bowl games. So if he doesn't make a playoff, but he does go to a bowl, he could get anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 bonus. One of the things that stood out to me on this contract was not only does he get the luxury vehicles, tickets to pretty much any sporting event that he wants to go, a luxury box, etc., is that he gets his own choice of a private golf club or private club to join in Kentucky. There are the haves and the have-nots, folks, and that is just an example of having it. When you get access to any club membership that you want in this city. And when you're a member of a club, you hear about those things on TV and on movies. When you're a part of a country club, the networking that you can have at one of those is par to none. There's CEOs, there's president of organizations, there's news anchors, there's radio. I mean, anybody you can think of who is anybody that's got a little bit of any cash is a part of a country club. So that's a really good incentive for his contract. But that is the details for Will Stein. I don't mind the contract. I think it's a very fair contract. It's reasonable pay. It's got reasonable incentives, and it is nothing compared to what Stoops had. And I really don't think there will ever be a contract like it. Stoops is the luckiest man ever in the sport of college football. So good luck to Will Stein. He's got a year to get things ready, and he's got his work cut that out for him. Folks, we have a great show ahead of you today. You are listening to Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Media Lex Radio, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
Radiolex thanks Gesell Media for being an amplifier of the voice of the people. SQECIAL.com.
At Radio Lex, we want to keep our community safe.
Per the ACLU, if the police or ICE are at your home, stay calm and keep the door closed. Opening the door does not give them permission to come inside, but it is safer to speak to ICE through the door.
You have the right to remain silent even if the officer has a warrant.
You do not have to let police or immigration agents into your home unless they have certain kinds of warrants.
If police have an arrest warrant, they are legally allowed to enter the home of the person on the warrant if they believe that person is inside. But a warrant of removal/deportation form I-205 does not allow officers to enter a home without consent.
Radiolex is committed to providing trustworthy information to our community.
For more information, visit radiolex.us or aclu.org.
This fall, there are 3 things you can do with your leaves. 1, keep them. Be lazy, leave them as is because they make great winter habitat for pollinators, or mulch them and compost them. 2, let us pick them up by putting them in your gray yard waste cart. 3, bring them to us at Haley Pike Waste Management Facility. Never rake or blow leaves into the street because they clog storm drains. Find more information at lexingtonky.gov/leaves.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. We are officially in the Christmas season. So many travelers will be in the air and on the road over the next few weeks. So be careful whether you're traveling via air or on the road. A lot of people will be getting together with their family. For some, that's great. For some, not so much. Sometimes that's partly because of the conversations that happen around the family dinner table at Christmas, maybe family gatherings. Anytime you get family together, there's always going to be some heavy conversation. Somebody will bring up a religious topic, a political topic, something just to ruffle somebody's feathers. They'll say something out of the way, a little sideways, that could just irritate people. Sometimes, folks, it's okay to have light-hearted conversations. There's nothing wrong with sitting around and playing games, keeping the conversations light, and maybe even tell a few jokes. So you might be thinking, I don't know any Christmas jokes to tell. Well, folks, you are in luck because since it is the Christmas season, I would like to share with the audience some amazing Christmas jokes that you can tell for the holidays, and that can keep the conversation light. It can keep the mood jolly. Nothing like a dad joke, right? Some people would call these dad jokes. Dad jokes are the real, just corny jokes. And I feel like all of the jokes that I'm going to say are corny, but that's what makes a funny joke. But the following here are Christmas jokes. Now, these are different than Christmas riddles. Last year on the show, I went over some Christmas riddles that you could go over at the family table. But how about a few Christmas jokes? We'll start with this one. What do you call an elf who can sing? A rapper. Why was the Christmas tree so bad at knitting? It kept dropping its needle, excuse me. What do you call a broke Santa Claus? St. Nicholas. Get it? St. Nicholas? What do you get if you cross a snowman and a dog? What do you get if you cross a snowman and a dog? You get frostbite. Why did the ornament go to therapy? It had too many hang-ups. What does Frosty the Snowman eat for breakfast? Well, he eats snowflakes, obviously. Not cornflakes, but snowflakes, folks. What do you get when you cross a bell with a skunk? You get jingle smells. What do you call a cat on the beach during Christmas time? Well, you call the cat nothing other than Sandy Claus. Why don't you ever see Santa at the hospital? Because he has good elf care. Why don't you ever see Santa at the hospital? It's because he has good elf care. What do you get when you cross an iPad with a Christmas tree? You get a pineapple. What do you call a snowman with a six-pack? Well, you call him an abominable snowman. What's the Grinch's least favorite band? It's The Who. What's red, white, and blue at Christmas? That would be a sad candy cane. And then lastly, here is one more joke for you. It says here, it's a little bit of a riddle. It says, I'm hung with care, but I'm not a wreath. I'm not a present, but I bring joy beneath. I'm green and red, but I'm not a bow. I'm part of Christmas, though not a snow. What am I? The correct answer to that would be a mistletoe. So that, folks, are a few Christmas jokes for your Christmas holiday. If you're just sitting around with family, the conversation starts to get a little heavy and you want to bring in a little bit more of a tamed, jolly conversation, those are a few Christmas jokes that you can share with your family. All right, folks, stick with us. We still have lots more Off the Cuff with Adam Banks coming your way after these words. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Media Lex Radio, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
This fall, there are 3 things you can do with your leaves. 1, keep them. Be lazy, leave them as is because they make great winter habitat for pollinators, or mulch them and compost them. 2, let us pick them up by putting them in your gray yard waste cart. 3, bring them to us at Haley Pike Waste Management Facility. Never rake or blow leaves into the street because they clog storm drains. Find more information at lexingtonky.gov/leaves.
You are tuned in live and direct to Joey Truax. It's the best part, Hip Hop 101. WLXU 93.9 FM, you know what I'm saying? The album is dropped, Kentucky. My man Divine Karama. Peace to the gods, peace to the righteous culture. This next joint we send it out to the babies is for the culture. Word is born, keep it locked. Peace.
At Radio Lex, we want to keep our community safe.
Per the ACLU, if police agents ask you about your immigration status, keep calm.
In some states, you must provide your name to law enforcement if you are stopped and told to identify yourself. But even if you give your name, you do not have to answer other questions.
If you are driving and are pulled over, the officer can require you to show your license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance, but you don't have to answer questions about your immigration status.
Radio Lex is committed to providing trustworthy information to our community.
For more information, visit radiolex.us or aclu.org.
Radio Lex thanks Special Media for being an amplifier of the voice of the people. SQECIAL.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Merry Christmas, everybody. I believe it is safe to say that the honeymoon for Mark Pope is over. Mark Pope is currently 6-4 this season as the head coach of the University of Kentucky Wildcats basketball team. I think Mark Pope is finally starting to realize how mean the Big Blue Nation can be. A lot of people were like, no, he knows how mean BBN can be. He used to play here. You got to think, Mark Pope played here at Kentucky during a different era. He played in the 90s. That was pre-social media. There was no Facebook. There was no IG. There was no X. There was no way for him to hear the hate that Big Blue Nation can spew, unless it come from a newspaper article or it come from a fan on the street. Nowadays, people, everybody at their fingertips has access to let you know how they feel. And he's never seen the height of it until now. He's probably heard rumblings and how mean they can be, but I don't think he had a clue really what he was in store for. Now he's starting to figure it out. This is not a place where you have room for error. The only reason Cal kept keeping his job year after year, going out in the first couple of rounds during his last tenure at Kentucky, was because Cal had a lot of good things that he had done for the program before then. 3 or 4 Final Fours, a national championship, 30-win seasons every year, 10 number 1 NBA draft picks. I mean, come on. There was so much to argue to keep Cal for, but you have to have that kind of record in your past to even think about keeping your job more than 2 years without having success. Now, I know Mark Pope can coach. We've seen it. Personally, last year, I thought he did one of the best jobs that any first-year coach could do. I thought he deserved to be Coach of the Year. We know that Mark Pope can coach. He took us to the Sweet 16 last year. He won games that a first-year coach typically doesn't win. He was beating teams like Duke. He was beating teams like Michigan State, Gonzaga. We were winning those games. This year, we're not. Now, I don't necessarily know if it's a coaching problem, if it's a Mark Pope problem. Something is going on with the team. Something is going on with the chemistry of this team that I have no idea what it is. There's rumblings, there's rumors that there's problems within the teammates for whatever reason. I even heard a rumor that they got into a fist fight before the locker room at the Louisville game. Have no idea if that's true. Nobody really knows if it's true unless you were there. But something is going on with that team that makes them have no chemistry. They don't touch each other in the huddle. They don't talk to each other. I just see such a lack of teamwork within that team. So I don't necessarily know if it's the coaching. Can Mark Pope do anything to fix his team this year? 6-4. The reason that scares me so far is because all of our wins have been cupcake wins. Every team that we have played, the 4 losses that we have been games that we needed to win to make a run in the tournament, to get a good seed. In order to make the tournament, you have to have a good amount of quality wins. Every quality game we've played, we have lost thus far. Now, I'm not ready to make a coaching change, by no means. I'm not ready to make a coaching change, as a matter of fact, for the basketball program until Mitch Barnhart is gone. I think that will be somewhere around the end of the 2029-2030 season. So let's make a hire then. Or it will be the same thing, folks. If we get rid of Pope and we make another hire with Mitch Barnhart making the hire, it's going to be a Mark Pope 2.0. So unless we want to go out and get an aggressive hire like Bruce Pearl, we want to make an aggressive hire like that, we'll never do that with Mitch Barnhart as the athletic director. So just sit back, relax, take it for what it is until Mitch Barnhart is gone. And I think that will be around the 2029-2030 season. So I'm really not ready, regardless of how bad he does, to make another hire until Mitch Barnhart is not the one doing the hiring. The reason I say that is because it will be the same thing. Kentucky's next game to prove themselves will be another quality game. It will be against Indiana this Saturday at 7:30 on ESPN at Rupp Arena. They ended the UK-Indiana series back in 2011, but they have met twice since then in the NCAA tournament. They won once in 2012. I was actually at that game. We annihilated them, and we advanced to the Elite Eight after that win. And then we played them again in 2016 in the round of 32. with Tyler Eulis as our point guard. I think they had like Yogi Ferrell as their point guard in Indiana, and that's when Indiana beat us. And we've not played since 2016. Since 2016. We've played a total of 57 times in this series. I am a big fan of the Indiana-Kentucky series. That series went away back in 2011, partly because Cal was not happy with the way Indiana fans treated our fans, the way they disrespected our court, our players. I think there was some spitting going on from fans out on the floor. That's gross. I mean, if you're going to be like that, then no. I can see why we would ban the series. But so much time has passed. It's been over a decade. And I think people are ready to have this series back. Indiana at one point in time was one of the mecca programs in college basketball. At one point in time, they were undoubtedly in the top 5 greatest basketball programs of all time. Since then, it's probably, maybe even possibly slipped out of the top 10. I wouldn't slip it out of the top 10, but some would argue that they wouldn't put Indiana in their top 10. But I think Indiana and Kentucky is a great series to have because of the history of the two programs. They've met 57 times in total. All-time series, Kentucky leads it 32-25. Not a big margin, which makes the series even better. The largest victory was Kentucky when they beat Indiana back in 2003 by 39 points. And currently, the winning streak is only 1, and Indiana has that. So we've not played Indiana. The last time we played them was when they beat us. So I'm excited to see what happens Saturday. Mark Pope has to get a win. This will be his first major quality win. Dare I say, if he doesn't win this game, and we have to go into the SEC, well, we still got to play St. John's, Rick Pitino, but if we go into the SEC with 4 or 5, 6 losses, there's no way we're going to win out the SEC. So dare I say, we may not even make the tournament. That's not going to bode well for Mark Pope. Now, I'm not ready to get rid of him, not until Mitch Barnhart's gone, but Mark Pope is really going to feel the heat, and he's not going to enjoy the job like he has been enjoying it. I don't think people ever think it's as bad as what it ends up being when they get here. They don't think fans will be that mean. You want to see some mean people? Get online and look at Kentucky basketball fans when the coach loses the basketball game. You will see the epitome of mean people. People will take personal shots. People will really, really just hammer down on you. And then what's crazy about that is that sticks in your craw for like 2 months if you're on the receiving end. And the person writing that completely forgets they even typed it 2 seconds after they did. But that's just the way of the internet. And I think Mark Pope has probably been overwhelmed with the negative feedback that he's got from his fans. You can't hang on that Sweet 16 forever. Not at Kentucky. That Sweet 16 bought you... It pacified the fans over the offseason. That's all it did. We're in a new season. This is Kentucky. Time to win. You have to win. There's no other option, folks. All right, folks, this seems like a great place to take Off the Cuff's Song of the Week break. It is the Christmas season, so how about a holiday song with a little Brad Paisley, Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy. We'll be back after the song. The last day to nominate me for a Lexington Music Award will be this Monday. The Lexies close their nomination ballot on December the 15th. That is this Monday. You can vote for me by going to houndfm.com. That is HOUNDFM.com. Houndfm.com. You just click on the Lexington Community Radio ballot, and I am asking for 2 nominations in 2 categories. The first category would be Radio DJ of the Year, and the second category would be Media Company of the Year, or that would be Music Company of the Year, rather, and that would be for Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. So I would really appreciate your nomination. Certainly, I would never, ever take credit for that award if I won it. That is only is just as much your award as it is mine, because I am only nominated and only win by your vote. So thank you so much for all those who go out and do that. Folks, today's national holiday is National Stretching Day, and that is on December the 11th. It is dedicated to educating people on the numerous benefits that come with stretching. Stretching, I love a good stretch. I hate it when people mess up a good stretch. Have you ever tried to just, stretch out and you got a good stretch going on and you got one of those stretches going on where your leg's shaking. That's how good the stretch is. And then somebody comes along and they just poke you in the side and they destroy your stretch. I think that should be a crime. But I do love a good stretch. I don't stretch enough, and stretching is so important. I can't even touch my toes. And a lot of people can't believe me, and they won't believe me until they see that I can't. I think that's partly because of the way my body is made. I have a smaller torso, longer legs, smaller torso, but I am unable to touch my toes. That's how bad my stretching is. And flexibility is one of the most significant components to leading a healthy lifestyle. It says here that stretching improves our lifestyle and helps us live better. When we stretch daily, we increase our mobility, and it keeps our muscles flexible and strong. Here are some reasons that you should stretch. It says it relieves stiffness and soreness in your joints. It increases and maintains your active range of motion. It improves circulation and blood flow. It migrates muscle imbalances that can lead to poor posture or mitigates it. It reestablishes a more ideal resting muscle tone, and it supports injury prevention. It enhances athletic skills, and it improves your ability to do daily activities. It helps with stress reduction. It helps calm the mind and decrease tension headaches, and it makes you feel lighter and younger. So stretching, there's a lot of benefits with it. Stretching is hard, and it's something that you got to push your body to do, especially when it don't want to stretch, when it don't want to bend. Develop a new daily stretching routine and stick to it. That's the best way to do it. Make it a part of your routine. You can learn about the short and long-term benefits of stretching today. You could join a yoga class to help you stretch. They actually have teachers that will show you different stretches, and they will actually help your body bend in places that it don't want to bend. You could volunteer at a retirement facility and engage residents to practice daily stretching techniques. You could join a stretching class. Another way to celebrate it today is to just share your photos of you stretching, maybe whether it's to a routine that you created, a routine that you do often. You could post those to social media using the hashtag National Stretching Day. So happy National Stretching Day to everybody. Since it is Christmas time, folks, and I have been talking all kinds of Christmas topics, I would like to have another one here with you. Last year on the show, I said that every Christmas, I wanted to take an iconic Christmas character, and I wanted to kind of do a deep dive on that famous Christmas character. Last year on the show, we talked about Mrs. Claus, and we did a deep dive into Mrs. Claus. And before that, we've done deep dives on other characters like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Grinch, Santa Claus himself, and then last year we did Mrs. Claus. Well, this year, folks, since it is Christmas, I wanted to pick a certain Christmas character and do a deep dive of that character for the audience. Now, this character actually falls into a plural category because we're going to be talking about elves, and elves are plural. Yes, elves can just be one little tiny human, but we're talking about just elves in general. Here are some fun facts about elves. Elves, they weren't always tiny. Actually, early folklore often described elves as human-sized and magical, not the small toy-making helpers that we imagine today. The modern Santa's workshop image started in the 1800s. It says the idea of elves making toys in a workshop became popular after the 1857 poem Harper's Weekly, The Wonders of Santa Claus, where it first depicted them as cheery gift builders. So they didn't really become Santa's little helpers until that poem. The famous illustrator drew elves as a small, industrious, pointed-ear worker in an 1870 series, Santa Illustrations, shaping how we imagine them today. Elves, they have specialized jobs. So in many stories, they aren't just toy makers. They're also list keepers. They're the ones that keep the naughty and nice list for Santa. They train the reindeers. Elves are also responsible as sleigh engineers, cooking or baking cookies. They're also a part of the magic maintenance crew for the North Pole enhancements. So anytime that the North Pole needs any type of maintenance, the elves are the ones to do it. The elves, they also have their own magical language. They said in some elf story that they speak Elvish, is what they call their language. The North Pole time runs differently for elves. A bit of folklore for this one too. It says elves live in a timeless zone, allowing them to prepare billions of gifts without ever aging much themselves. They love music. A common tradition is that elves start each workday with a song or a jingle, believing music increases toy making and accuracy, and it increases their happiness. Elves were once Santa's guardians. It says here that older legends from folklore countries describe elves as household protectors who watched over families long before they teamed up with Santa. So apparently the elves didn't always used to work with Santa. Before they had a job with Santa, their job was to kind of be people's guardian angels. But now they directly work for Santa Claus. Their favorite food isn't always cookies. In many stories, they like maple syrup, peppermint cocoa, snowberry pie, and marshmallow toast. Elves are master record keepers, it says. They manage the naughty and nice list, which some tales say is magically updated in real time, like a magical festive cloud server. They usually are different kinds of elves. Depending on the tradition, you might find a scout elf, which is the elf on the shelf. You might find a crafting elf, a snow elf, a reindeer stable elf, or a magic guardian angel elf. Elves celebrate, it says elf celebrations last days. Elves hold a twinkle festival each winter where they light lantern maids of frozen starlights. It says if you like, they also... that's pretty much it. The rest of that's pretty boring. But that right there, folks, is some little fun facts about elves and a deep dive on the character of elves. When we think about Christmas characters and we're looking at characters to do a deep dive on, I feel like we've done a lot of good ones so far. Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Grinch. Last year we did Mrs. Claus. Now this year we did the elves. Hope everybody has a great Christmas, folks, but we still have lots more coming up here on Off the Cuff. We've still got one more segment to go, so stick with us. We'll be right back.
The Community Response Coalition of Kentucky, Inc. is helping immigrants who've lost access to SNAP benefits. If your family has low or no income, they can assist with food during this time. To get help, you can call their bilingual receptionists at 1-800-674-9217, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to midnight. You can also sign up at crcky.org, available in English, Spanish, and French. You can speed up your request by clicking the blue Sign Up for an Appointment button.
This fall, there are 3 things you can do with your leaves. 1, keep them. Be lazy, leave them as is because they make great winter habitat for pollinators, or mulch them and compost them. 2, let us pick them up by putting them in your gray yard waste cart. 3, bring them to us at Haley Pike Waste Management Facility. Never rake or blow leaves into the street because they clog storm drains. Find more information at lexingtonky.gov/leaves.
And off the cuff, Adam Banks here with you, last segment of the hour. Folks, we talk about a lot of fun things around the holidays. We talk about Mrs. Claus, Santa Claus. We talk about the little elves that work at the workshop on Christmas. But I never want it to take away from the true meaning of Christmas and what Christmas is all about, and that is the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And every year on the show, I always like to end our Christmas episodes talking about the true meaning of Christmas. Now, nobody really knows the exact date of when Jesus Christ came to earth. Was it December 25th? Probably not. But that is the day we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ here in the world. There is a reason, folks, why there is such a thing as Christmas magic. There is a reason why there is just a certain feeling at this time of year. Call it a coincidence. I don't. Christmas time is my favorite holiday because, folks, without the meaning of Christmas, we have no Savior. Christmas was the day we celebrate his birth, when Jesus came to this world. And on this show before, I have ended the show talking about different religious topics concerning Christmas, and I do it by playing a certain audio piece for the audience. I've played around 3 or 4 before throughout shows on Christmas time. One year I talked about the story of Mary and Joseph. Another year on the show, I played an audio where it told the story of the 3 wise men. Another year, I played an audio where it talked about the promise of Christmas. Another year, I played an audio where it talked about the miracle of Christmas. Well, today on the show, folks, I would like to play another audio clip to end our Christmas show. And this audio specifically talks about the birth of Jesus, which is a little different from the audio that we played concerning the wise men, concerning Mary and Joseph. This is actually just talking about the event of Mary and Joseph. And this is a quick 5-minute audio that pretty much sums up the story of why we even have Christmas. If you've never heard the story of the birth of Jesus, this is a perfect time to tune in, because in just 5 minutes, you're going to hear the whole story in a nutshell. You're going to hear the reason why we have all of these pretty lights, all of these gifts gathering families together, trees, snow, everything. It's because of this day right here and this event right here, the birth of Jesus Christ. So, folks, let's go to the audio where it talks about the birth of Jesus Christ. Take a listen.
In the land of Israel, there was a young woman named Mary and a man named Joseph. Joseph was a carpenter by trade, and he loved Mary. The two were engaged to be married. They weren't rich or powerful, but they were righteous and obedient people, and God had a very special plan for them. One day, an angel came to Mary to tell her about God's plan. "The Lord is with you, Mary," he said. "You have favor with God, and you will have a baby boy. His name will be Jesus. He will be great, and will be called the Son of the Most High. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and there will be no end to his kingdom." The angel assured her that the baby would be conceived by the Holy Spirit, and not by her soon-to-be husband, Joseph. When the angel left, Mary could hardly believe what had just happened. The Messiah would be born to her? She would be the one? This was the most amazing news. But there was a problem. Mary was going to have a baby, even though she and Joseph weren't yet married. What would people think? Joseph became very worried. After all, he was a man who always tried to do the right thing. He was afraid that he might have to end his engagement to Mary. But one night, God gave Joseph a dream. In the dream, an angel spoke to him and said, "Don't be afraid to take Mary as your wife. The baby in Mary is a miracle from God. She will have a son, and you shall call him Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." But there was another problem. The emperor of the land, Caesar Augustus, sent out a law that everyone should be counted in the international census. Every single citizen was required to go to their hometown, and that included Joseph and Mary. Their hometown was Bethlehem, and even though Mary's due date was soon approaching, they began the long and difficult journey to Bethlehem. Mile after mile they traveled. It was very uncomfortable for Mary as her labor pains grew more intense. She was happy that she would be delivering a baby boy, none other than Jesus. But things were hard. She was on a long journey, and she knew that the baby was going to come any minute. When they finally arrived in Bethlehem, there was no place for them to stay. All the hotels and houses were filled up. They couldn't find a single room, not even for a mother who was about to have a baby. There was only one place left, a barn for animals. There in that stable, surrounded by the animals, the Savior of the world was born. They took Jesus, wrapped him warmly in cloths, and used a manger as his bed. One day, this little baby boy would hang on the cross for the sin of all mankind. That night, in the cool, dark fields surrounding Bethlehem, there was a group of shepherds taking care of their sheep. An angel appeared in the sky and announced, "I bring you good news of great joy for everyone. Unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord." Then a whole choir of bright angels lit up the night sky and sang a beautiful song. Immediately, the shepherds went into Bethlehem and worshipped Jesus. Thousands of miles away, in the foreign lands of the East, a group of wise men heard about the news of Jesus' birth too. They followed a star. The bright star led them to the land of Israel. They knew that a king was going to be born, so they went to the leader, Herod. "We have come from the east to worship the one who has been born King of the Jews." Herod was concerned. He hadn't heard of this. "A king? But I'm the king." Sure enough, there was a prophecy. This was the Messiah, promised thousands of years before. Herod told the wise men to find this king, and then bring the news back to him so he could worship the king too. But Herod didn't want to worship the king. He wanted to kill him. The wise men left Herod's palace and saw the star moving again. This time, it led them right to the house of Mary and Joseph in Bethlehem. There they met the young child, growing up in the home of the carpenter and his wife. They worshipped him and brought him beautiful gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. All gifts fit for a king. God warned the wise men in a dream that they should not tell Herod where to find Jesus. So the wise men returned home a different way. Jesus' birth was the fulfillment of many old prophecies. His life, death, and resurrection would become the cornerstone of our faith. The world would never be the same.
Let's never forget the true meaning of Christmas, and that is the birth of our dear Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you never heard the story before, what a great way and what a great way for it to be told. Folks, that pretty much wraps up another episode of Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. If you liked what you heard today, you'll probably like our previous episodes. We archive them all on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. We release new episodes every Thursday from 4 to 5 right here on WLXU 93.9 FM. You can follow the show on social media at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You can follow me, the show host, on social media at The Adam Banks. We release new episodes every Thursday from 4 to 5 right here on WLXU 93.9 FM, which means we will be back same time, same place. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the king of radio, Adam Banks, and this is Off the Cuff. I'll catch you down the road.
Christmas only comes once a year.
All right, guys, thank you so much.